Today, I'm going to show you guys how to incorporate your favorite amp with your HeadRush pedal board using the 4-cable method. Let's go. Hey, hope you're doing well. Now, if you have a HeadRush pedal board, you obviously don't need an amp anymore, right? However, amps are amazing. And if you've got one that you love the sound of and you want to incorporate your pedal board in it, all you need is 4 little cables, and obviously you do need an effects loop on your amp. If you don't have one, you obviously can't use this method. You can still plug straight into the front and use only the effects, but you will not be able to put your reverbs and delays after the preamp. Now, personally, I haven't used an amp on stage for many years. I've been using my pedal board or my GT1000 core in all of my live setups, but I recently got this amp back and it's amazing, and it has an effects loop. And someone asked me just the other day about the setup, and I hadn't actually tried it, so I thought, bugger it, I'll give it a go. So I've only done this once. There was a few little things to figure out along the way, but I got it going and it sounds amazing. So that's what I'm gonna do for you guys now. I'm gonna walk you through it and let's get moving. First things first, before you go any further, on the back of your pedal board there, you've got a little switch that says line and amp. Change to amp. First thing I'm gonna do is show you guys how to plug this all together. Now, I obviously have the Boss Tube amp expander, which has an effects loop on that. However, I'm gonna be using the effects loop on the Marshall. This has 2 effects loops. I'm just gonna use A because that works on both the clean and the dirty channels all the time. First cable, take one end, put it into the output mono on your HeadRush and run that to the return on your amp. Cable number 2, take that from the send on your HeadRush and put it to the input of the amp. Let's just assume, click, that's gone in. Cable number 3, we go from the return of the HeadRush to the send on the back of the amplifier. So now your HeadRush will be connected to your amplifier. But Dave, that's only 3 cables. That's because cable number 4 needs to go from your guitar to the HeadRush. Sweet, so I've got the amp plugged in, I'm plugged into the HeadRush. So as you can hear, of course, you can access all of those effects on the HeadRush pedal board. But how did we do that? So this is the scene that you just heard me playing through. I've got a volume pedal, a wah, the, the super overdrive, which is in the latest firmware update, the FX loop, chorus, noise filter, tremolo, and a delay. Let me just walk you through this. So actually, let's just start again, hey? So first of all, what you need to do is you need to load up a new rig. Just go up to the 3 dots here and press new rig. First thing you want to load in is the effects loop in one of the blocks there. Now I had to do a little bit of mucking around with the settings. We'll just adjust that. As you can see there, the return level I had to bring up to 5.8 because the levels were a little bit imbalanced. And basically I just kept playing through that until it sort of balanced out and sounded good. So this effects loop block, the best way I think about it is that this little effects block is your amplifier. So everything before here is going to be hitting the front of the amp. How exactly? So if you remember, the send of the HeadRush goes into the input of the amplifier. So, and then that goes through obviously the output of the amp and out through the speaker cabinet that you are connected to. So then the output of the HeadRush goes to the return of the amp, which means that all of these guys are going into the return of the amplifier, so into the effects loop on that amp. It hurts my brain trying to understand it, but basically everything before the effects loop block is before your amp, Everything else is in your effects loop on your amplifier. Then we have access to everything as normal. Volume, I do like a wah, boom. Obviously, you do not want to load an amp or a cab because otherwise you're just sending an amp into an amp and it's going to sound like crap. I really like the Boss SD1 and this is what this is. So that's in my rig because yay. Some reverb at the end. Let's go air reverb. A hall, thank you very much. And I want a delay, air delay as well. Mono's fine. Now it's entirely up to you where you want to put all of your effects. I do like my chorus in the loop, cleans it up. So let's just check that. So the reverb on. That's pretty insane. I'm going to turn that down. Some delay. It is also too much. Very good. So you can see already how easy it is to load up those effects and start treating this basically just like a whole bunch of stomp boxes at your feet ready to go. We can even bring in a compressor if we want one. Let's do that. Cool. Now, this amp, I've discovered the third channel to be pretty noisy. You may or may not have heard of this before, but your noise gates, you can chuck them in your effects loop. That's exactly where this stuff is. So let's load up either a noise filter or a noise gate. Let's try just the gate first. So it's down on channel 3. Nothing yet, but let's adjust. How good? That's a bit too much there. Now, I personally don't really use gates. I would much prefer a noise filter. So that's the default noise filter. It's a pretty noisy third channel. There we go. So that's where it sits. So with it on, with it off, that does quite a lot there, that noise filter. Let's bring in the stomp, what do you call it, the overdrive. So I'm now on channel 2. How good. And that chorus. rock on, right? So of course I've got a wah there as well, but it's too hard to touch that on there, but you know what a wah sounds like. Now one thing that I found the other day when I was plugging this in, there was a very obvious tonal difference between the two, and I realized that I have my global settings set up so that I have an EQ on. So obviously these global EQ settings are being applied to the effects loop as well. So let's just have a listen, for example. Now I'm on the line out, so this is it off. Channel 3. So you can easily get in and sculpt your amp even further with that EQ. One more thing that is really cool, obviously you can add in an EQ here. I like a graphic EQ to act like a bit of a boost for any kind of solo. Let's just give a bit of a tweak real quick. Pretty subtle, but it's a boost. So obviously your pedal board still works the way a pedal board does. You can assign all of these buttons to any of the parameters. You can assign obviously some scenes to the things that you want to do within that patch. Another thing that I'm pretty sure you can do is that you can control the amp channels from here as well. I know some devices can do it. This amplifier doesn't allow me to externally change. I have to have the designated Marshall foot pedal for that amp because it doesn't have MIDI capability, but I'm pretty sure it can be done. So if that's an option for you, that's gonna be less mucking around and less pressing across the board. Well, that's it for today. I'm pretty sure I covered anything. If I've missed something, please let me know and I will sort that out. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned and I'll see you next time.